I still remember the sound of the rain that morning. Soft, steady, almost gentle, as if the sky was crying for me because I no longer had the strength to cry myself. I stood under the small black umbrella the funeral home had given me, holding it as if it were the only thing keeping me upright. My fingers trembled. My knees felt weak. And the world around me moved like it was wrapped in thick fog. My son, my only child, was gone. At least, that is what I believed. People often say losing a child changes you forever. They are right. It doesn't just change you. It breaks you in a way you can never fully put into words. It is like something inside you quietly collapses, and nothing, not even time, can rebuild it the same way again. I stared at the closed coffin, wrapped in white flowers. White lilies. His favorite. I whispered, "Daniel, my boy. I'm here. I'm right here." Though I knew he couldn't hear me. At least I thought he couldn't. The priest's voice echoed softly under the tent, speaking words that floated somewhere above my head. I couldn't catch them. I couldn't hold on to anything. My mind was full of memories. Daniel's small hands reaching for mine, his laughter in the kitchen, his voice calling, "Mom, wait for me." He used to run down the hall in our small house, his footsteps light and quick. He used to hug me with both arms wrapped tight around my waist. He used to tell me things no one else ever knew. I was his mother. He was my world. And now, he was gone. Or at least, that is what I believed. The funeral was quiet. The kind of quiet that feels heavy, like a blanket you can't lift. Some neighbors sat near the front. A few of Daniel's old school friends came, eyes red and tired. My sister stood beside me, holding my arm, as if afraid I might fall. I appreciated the help, but I also felt strangely far from everyone, like I was standing in a small circle of loneliness no one else could enter. Then came the moment when the priest asked, "Before we begin, if you enjoy stories that touch the heart and remind us of life's quiet miracles, don't forget to like this video and subscribe. It truly helps our little storytelling family grow. Does anyone want to say a few words about Daniel?" There was a long silence. A silent wind moved through the tent. A few people cleared their throats, but no one stepped forward. I didn't blame them. What could they say? How could they speak when grief was choking all of us? I was about to open my mouth, not sure what I would say, only knowing that a mother should say something, when I heard it. A voice. A woman's voice. Soft at first, then stronger, trembling but determined. "I want to speak." Everyone turned to look. A woman stood up from the very back row. I didn't know her. I had never seen her before in my life. She was tall, maybe in her late 30s, with long dark hair pulled back in a simple braid. She wore a plain blue dress, the kind of dress someone might wear to a quiet Sunday service. Nothing fancy, nothing that stood out. But she stood out anyway, because the moment she walked forward, a strange chill moved through the air. And then she said the words that made my heart stop. She looked at me. She looked at the coffin. And in a steady, shaking voice she whispered, "He isn't dead. He's with me." The entire tent gasped. Someone dropped a flower. A man murmured, "What is she saying?" My sister grabbed my hand so tightly it hurt. But I didn't move. I couldn't move. It felt like my feet had grown roots and were trapped in the wet ground beneath me. Who was this woman? Why did she say those words? What did she know about my son? The woman stepped closer to the front, rain dripping from the edge of the tent onto her shoulders. She didn't wipe it away. She didn't even blink. With everyone staring at her, she repeated slowly, "Daniel isn't dead. He didn't die. He's alive. And he's with me." The silence after those words felt unreal. Too heavy, too sharp, too deep to make sense of. My breath caught. My chest tightened. I felt both hope and terror rising inside me, fighting each other like stormy waves crashing in the same small space. Alive? My son? Alive? Those were dangerous words to give a grieving mother. Words that could pull apart a healing wound. Words that could destroy whatever little strength remained. I tried to speak, but my voice broke before the first sound came out. My hands shook harder. My knees felt weaker. The woman looked directly at me, not with pity, not with coldness, but with something else. Something like sorrow. Something like guilt. I promised him I would come, she said softly. I promised him. I would tell you the truth. She reached into her small black bag. My heart thudded painfully. And then she pulled out something small, wrapped in a piece of cloth. She held it close to her chest as if it were fragile, precious, or dangerous. She didn't walk toward me. She didn't offer it to anyone. She just held it, like it held a truth too heavy for her hands. He asked me to give this to you, she said. He told me that if something ever happened, I must bring it here, on this day. The priest stepped forward, confused. Miss, please. But she interrupted him gently. No. She needs to hear this. She has waited long enough. She looked at me again. Her eyes were full of something I still cannot fully describe. Fear, pain, and something like loyalty, but not to me. To my son. To Daniel. My heart pounded, louder than the rain, louder than the whispers around me. Who are you? I managed to say, my voice thin and shaking. The woman took a slow breath. My name is Mara, she said. And I was the last person to see your son alive. The world around me blurred. Everything, the priest, the people, the tent, the rain, went soft around the edges. Only her voice remained. I know what happened to him, she whispered. And I know why they told you he died. A cold ripple moved up my spine. They told me? They? Who were they? The woman stepped back as if afraid she had already said too much. I shouldn't be here long, she said quietly. They might be watching. The murmurs grew louder now. Neighbors whispering to each other, people shifting uncomfortably, the priest trying to regain control of the ceremony. But there was no order to return to. Not anymore. Because one sentence had already changed everything. He isn't dead. He's with me. My heart didn't know whether to collapse or come back to life. I wanted to scream. I wanted to run. I wanted to grab her shoulders and beg for every detail she knew. But all I could do was stand there, frozen, watching her hold the small cloth-wrapped object. The object she claimed my son left for me. Something in me felt a pull. A faint, trembling spark. Something like hope, but also something like fear. Then the woman whispered, "Before you bury him, you need to know the truth." The moment the woman who called herself Mara said those words, "Before you bury him, you need to know the truth," something inside me shifted. It was small at first, like a tiny crack forming in a frozen lake, barely visible, barely there. But it grew and grew, until it felt like my entire world was splitting open again. All around me, the funeral tent felt too quiet, too still, like everyone was holding their breath at the same time. I could hear the rain outside, steady and cold, tapping on the canvas above us. Each drop sounded like a ticking clock, counting down to something I wasn't prepared for. I didn't know what it would be. I didn't know if I should fear it, or cling to it with whatever strength I had left. My sister, Ruth, stepped closer to me and whispered, "Do you want me to take you home?" Her voice was soft, scared, almost motherly, even though I was the older one. I shook my head. I couldn't leave. Not when this woman was standing here with something that belonged to my son. Daniel. My boy. Even hearing the name in my own thoughts made my chest tighten. The priest finally cleared his throat, trying to bring calm back to the room. But calm had already walked away the moment Mara spoke. "Miss," he said gently, "this is a funeral service. A time of remembrance. If you have information related to—" "I know," Mara said quietly, lowering her eyes. "But he asked me to come today. He told me exactly what to do. He was afraid this moment would come." Those words, "He asked me, he told me, he was afraid," hit me like a wave I couldn't outrun. My son made plans? My son feared something? My son spoke to someone I didn't even know? I felt my fingers curling into the sides of my coat as I tried to keep myself steady. Mara slowly unwrapped the cloth she was holding. Inside it was something small and metallic. A key. A simple, ordinary-looking silver key. But she held it as if it was the most important object in the world. She didn't hand it to me. She just let me see it as she kept it pressed against her palm. "This unlocks something Daniel left behind," she said quietly. "A place. A room. I promised him I would give you the key only when the time came." My voice trembled when I finally managed to speak. What place? What room?" Mara swallowed hard. Her eyes softened with something like pity or guilt. I couldn't tell which. "A place he stayed in during the last months," she said. "A place he didn't want anyone to know about." My heart sank. The last months. The months when Daniel had grown distant, quiet, tired. I thought he was struggling with work. I thought he was just overwhelmed. I thought maybe he needed space. But the truth was, I didn't know. I didn't know anything. And that hurt most of all. The priest tried again to intervene. "Miss, perhaps this is a conversation you and the family can continue after the ceremony." But Mara looked him in the eye and said calmly, "He wouldn't want to be buried under a lie." That sentence silenced everyone, even the priest. Buried under a lie. The words clung to me like cold air on wet skin. Was my son's death not what I had been told? My knees felt unsteady again, but I took a slow breath, grounding myself the way my mother once taught me. Breathe in, hold, breathe out. Quietly, gently, with patience. I lifted my head and looked at Mara directly. "What lie?" I asked. "Tell me." She hesitated. She looked at the coffin, at the long, polished wood holding what I believed was my son's body. She looked at it with a pain I did not understand, as if she was mourning too. Finally she whispered, "It wasn't an accident." The words struck harder than any storm I had ever known. Not an accident. Not an accident. My breath stopped. My hands went numb. I could feel the world tilt slightly, like the ground was moving under me. For months, ever since the call from the police, I had tried to accept what they told me. That Daniel had been found unconscious in his apartment. That he never woke up. That it was a sudden medical event. They said there was nothing suspicious. Nothing unusual. Just a tragedy. But a tragedy can still be a lie. My sister whispered urgently, "We need to go. This woman is confused." But she didn't sound certain. She sounded scared. And I wasn't scared. I wasn't confused. I was listening. Because something in Mara's voice felt real. Heavy. Honest. Painful. She glanced around as if someone might stop her. "I can't stay long," she whispered. "They might be here already. They might be watching. That's why I have to give you this now." She held out the key. Her hand trembled slightly. Not dramatically. Not for attention. It was the trembling of someone carrying a truth too heavy to hold. My hand rose slowly, almost on its own, and I took the key. The moment the cold metal touched my palm, I felt something strange, like a soft shock of recognition. As if this small object truly did belong to my son. "This opens the door," she said. "To a storage unit he kept outside town. Unit 17. There's something inside he wanted you to have. Something he wanted you to see." "What is it?" I whispered. Mara shook her head gently. "That's not mine to say." Her answer was so quiet, so honest, that it made me shiver. Then she added, "But whatever you find, it will change everything you thought you knew." Before I could ask more, two men in dark suits appeared near the edge of the tent. I thought they were just late arrivals. But the way Mara's eyes widened told me otherwise. She stepped back instantly, her voice lowering. "I have to go." "Mara, wait," I whispered. She shook her head quickly, fear flashing across her face for the first time. "They must not see me with you. They must not know I spoke to you." Before I could reach out, she turned and slipped through the side of the tent, vanishing into the rain. One of the men called out, "Miss?" "Miss, we need to speak with you." But by the time they stepped outside, she was gone. The rain swallowed her whole. The priest tried to soothe the crowd, saying something about sensitive emotions, and grief can take many forms, but no one was listening anymore. Everyone was watching me. The mother holding a key to something she didn't understand. A key her dead son had left behind. I held it tightly, closing my hand around it until my fingers hurt, grounding myself with the pressure. My sister whispered again, "This is too much. She's lying. Or confused. Or maybe." But I shook my head. "No," I said softly. There was something real in her voice. Ruth sighed, looking worried. "You need to rest. Not follow strange clues from strangers." But the seed was already planted. My son had left something behind. A truth he wanted me to know. A truth someone didn't want me to know. After the ceremony, when everyone had left and the rain became nothing more than a soft drizzle, I stood alone by the coffin. My hands trembled as I rested the key against the wood. "Daniel," I whispered. "What did you want me to know?" The wind carried no answer. Just silence. Heavy, deep silence. I stayed there until the workers began to lower the coffin into the ground. It took all my strength to stand still and watch. It felt like the world was pulling away from me. One of the workers murmured gently, "Ma'am, are you all right?" I nodded slowly, but I wasn't all right, because I now held a key in my hand, and a storm in my heart. That night, when I returned home, the house felt different. It wasn't the dim light. It wasn't the quietness. It wasn't even the empty chair at the dining table. It was the feeling that my son had tried to reach me, from somewhere beyond the life I thought he lived. I placed the key on the kitchen table. It looked so small, so innocent, like it belonged to an old drawer or a forgotten box. But I knew better. My son wasn't careless. He wasn't dramatic. He wasn't the type to leave secrets behind, unless something forced him. I sat down slowly, touching the key with the tip of my finger. "Alive," I whispered. "He isn't dead." The moment those words formed on my lips, I froze. Not because I believed he was alive. Not yet. But because believing it was dangerous. A fragile hope can break a mother more than any grief. Still, why did Mara come? Who were the men searching for her? What lie was my son buried under? And what truth waited for me in that mysterious storage unit? The room felt colder as I stared at the key. A small, silver truth lying in the dark. I didn't know how long I sat there. Minutes. Hours. Time felt strange that night. But at some point, I whispered to myself, "I have to know." I owed Daniel that much. And I owed myself the truth, no matter how painful it would be. So I wrapped the key in a small cloth, placed it gently in my purse, and prepared myself for what the next day might bring. Tomorrow, I would go to Unit 17. And I would open whatever door my son had left behind. Little did I know. That door would open a story I never expected. A story of fear. A story of secrets. A story of love. A story that would change everything, not just about his death, but about his life. And about me. I barely slept that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the funeral tent again. The rain. The coffin. And Mara's voice echoing. "He isn't dead. He's with me." Those words wrapped around my thoughts like vines, tugging at old wounds and new fears. I kept hearing Daniel's voice in my memories, soft, gentle, always kind, and I wondered if he really had tried to leave something behind for me. The key lay in my purse, wrapped in cloth just as she had given it to me. Every time I reached for water, every time I walked past the table, I could feel its presence, like it was waiting for me to gather the courage to use it. By sunrise, I knew I couldn't ignore it. I had to go, not because I believed everything the woman said, but because if I didn't, I would never know peace again. I made myself a simple cup of tea, but I couldn't drink it. My hands shook too much. I placed the cup down gently, took a deep breath and whispered, "Daniel, help me understand." No answer came, of course. Only silence. That strange, heavy silence that had followed me ever since he died. I left the house just after 8. The sky was still gray, washed out from last night's rain. The streets were wet and quiet. A few cars passed now and then, but everything felt softer than usual, like the world wasn't ready to wake up fully. I drove slowly, not because of traffic, but because my heart felt too heavy to rush. The storage facility was on the outskirts of town, near an empty stretch of fields and old trees. Daniel had no reason to go there, at least none I knew about. That was what frightened me. When I arrived, the place looked lonely and almost lifeless. Long rows of metal storage units sat side by side, like silent guards keeping secrets. A faint breeze moved through the gravel ground, carrying bits of dust and the smell of wet earth. I stepped out of the car, feeling suddenly small in the wide open space. Unit 17. The number felt heavy in my mind. I walked slowly along the rows, counting quietly. 13, 14, 15, 16. And then I saw it. Unit 17. A small metal door, pale blue paint chipped on the edges, standing quietly among the others. It looked ordinary, painfully ordinary. Yet I felt a weight in my chest as I stood before it. This was the door my son wanted me to open. My fingers trembled as I reached into my purse and took out the key. The small silver piece glinted faintly in the weak morning light. I whispered to myself, "It's just a door, it's just a door." But it wasn't. It was something more. Something connected to Daniel's last months, the months I never truly understood. I slid the key into the lock. My hands shook so badly I had to steady myself against the metal frame. The lock clicked open. A soft, final sound. I took a slow breath, then lifted the metal door. It rolled upward with a rusty groan, loud enough to echo. Inside, everything was dark, cold, still. I stepped inside cautiously, my heart pounding like a slow drum. There was a faint smell of dust, paper, and something else, something familiar. Something like Daniel's old room when he was a teenager. A quiet, clean, careful smell. I blinked until my eyes adjusted to the dim light. What I saw stole my breath. The unit wasn't filled with junk. It wasn't empty either. It looked like a small, hidden room someone had carefully arranged. In the middle was a wooden table. On it sat a small box, a stack of notebooks, and a single photograph of Daniel, smiling but tired, worn around the edges, as though someone had held it many times. Against the back wall were shelves of papers, neat, organized, filed in labeled folders, and in the far corner, a folded blanket on the ground, as if someone had slept here. My throat closed. "Daniel, what were you doing here?" I walked forward slowly, afraid to disturb the silence. The first thing I reached for was the photograph. Daniel looked younger, maybe by 2 or 3 years. He looked happy, but there was something behind his smile. Something worried. Something distant. I touched the edge of the picture with my thumb, tears gathering behind my eyes. Then I saw something handwritten in the corner of the photo. One small word. Mom. My chest ached so deeply it felt like someone had reached inside and squeezed my heart. I set the photo down carefully and turned to the small wooden box on the table. It was plain, old, scratched on the lid. "No look. No de querasjen." My fingers trembled as I lifted it. Inside was a folded letter. My breath caught. The envelope had my name on it. Not mother. Not mom. Not to mom. Just my name. My first name. Written in Daniel's careful handwriting. Clara. My knees felt weak. It was rare for him to write my name. He always called me Mom. Always. Seeing my name in his handwriting felt strange. Too serious. Too heavy. I swallowed hard, hands shaking as I opened the letter. The paper inside was creased. Worn. As if someone had opened it many times. Maybe him, maybe Mara. I unfolded it slowly, afraid the words inside would change my life in ways I wasn't ready for. Then, I read, "Mom, if you are reading this, then something has happened. Something I feared. Something I tried to stop." My breath stopped. "I need you to be strong. I need you to trust me, even if none of this makes sense right now." I felt a tear slide down my cheek. "I have been hiding something from you. Not because I wanted to, but because I had no choice." My fingers tightened around the page. "They are watching me. They have been watching me for months. I didn't know who to trust. Not even the police. Not even my friends. I could only trust one person, Mara." My heart pounded painfully. Mara, the woman at the funeral. The woman who said my son wasn't dead. I forced myself to read on. "Mom, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry I couldn't tell you sooner. I'm sorry for every night you called and I didn't answer. I'm sorry for every message I left unread. I wasn't ignoring you. I was trying to protect you." A sob rose in my throat. I covered my mouth with my hand, trying to breathe through the pain. "You must be careful now. Very careful. If something happens to me, it will not be an accident. It will be because of them." My vision blurred with tears. "Who are they?" I whispered into the empty room. The letter continued. "Go to the shelves. Look in the folder labeled June. Everything you need to know starts there." June. I turned toward the shelves. Every folder was labeled by month. January, February, March, April, May, June. My hands trembled as I reached for the June folder. It felt heavier than I expected. Too heavy for simple papers. I brought it to the table and opened it. Inside were photographs, documents, printouts, newspaper clippings, names, dates, times. It looked like my son had been investigating something. Something large. Something dangerous. One photograph caught my eye. It showed the same two men from the funeral. The ones who had come looking for Mara. Under the photo was a small note written by Daniel. "Do not trust them." My heart stopped. I sat heavily in the chair by the table, my entire body trembling. My son, my gentle, quiet, kind-hearted Daniel, had been hiding from people. He had been gathering evidence. He had feared for his life. And he had been alone. So painfully, terribly alone. I wiped my eyes with shaking hands, trying to steady my breathing. Then I returned to the letter. "Mom, if the world believes I am dead, let it believe it for now. It is safer for you. Safer for me. Nothing is what it seems. Please don't cry. Please don't blame yourself. I love you more than anything." The last line broke me completely. "When the time comes, you will know what to do." I didn't know how long. I sat there after reading the letter. Maybe minutes. Maybe hours. The quiet inside the storage unit felt heavy, like it understood everything I was going through and had no comfort to give. Finally, I folded the letter gently and pressed it against my chest. "My boy." My voice trembled. "My sweet boy, what happened to you?" But the silence held no answers. Not yet. I reached for the June folder again and pulled out another photograph. This one of a small building I didn't recognize. Another note was written beneath it. "Start here. Start here." The words felt like a cold finger tracing down my spine. Daniel wasn't dead. Not truly. Not in the way the world believed. But he was in danger. Maybe still in danger. Maybe alive somewhere. And the woman at the funeral, Mara, was the only one who knew where he was. I stood slowly, clutching the photograph in my hand. I didn't know if I was strong enough for what lay ahead. But I knew one thing with absolute certainty. I would not stop. Not until I understood everything. Not until I knew what happened to my son. Not until I found him. Whether he was living, or only living in the truth he left behind. 3 days passed. 3 long, quiet, heavy days. I didn't hear from Daniel. I didn't hear from Lily either. And I didn't try to contact them. Sometimes silence is safer than speaking. Sometimes distance is the only thing that doesn't hurt. But the truth is, I miss my son. Not the man he had become recently. Not the hard, closed-off version of him. But the boy he used to be. The one who would run home from school and tell me every little thing that happened in his day. That boy felt far away now. Still, I kept myself busy around the house. A little cleaning. A little cooking. A little pretending I was fine. Until the fourth morning arrived. I was in the kitchen making tea when my phone buzzed. I didn't expect a message. Not so early. Not from the number I saw. It was Lily. My heart tightened. I hesitated before opening. My fingers even shook a little. Her message was short. Not cold. Not warm. Just different. Mom, can I call you? It's important. I stood still. Lily had never called me Mom before. Not sincerely. Something had happened. I replied, yes. You can call. My phone rang instantly, as if she had been waiting with the call button ready. When I answered, I didn't hear her voice first. I heard her breathing, uneven, shaky, like she had been crying. Then she spoke. Mom, I'm sorry to disturb you this early, but something is wrong with Daniel. My chest tightened. What happened? I asked, my voice barely steady. There was a pause, one long enough to make my heart race. He hasn't left the room for 2 days, Lily whispered. He barely speaks to me. He barely eats. I tried everything. He keeps saying he failed you. He keeps saying he messed everything up. My throat closed. I didn't imagine this. I didn't expect this. Daniel was always strong. Always pushing forward. Always hiding his feelings. Lily continued, her voice trembling more. I know I made mistakes. Many. And I will accept any anger you have toward me. But right now, I don't know what to do. He is not okay. Silence grew between us, heavy and slow. Then Lily said something I never expected. Can you come? I think he needs you. My hand tightened around the phone. That wasn't an easy request. Not after everything that happened. Not after the disrespect. Not after the heartbreak. But he was my son. No matter how grown he was. No matter how far he had drifted. No matter how much he had hurt me. He was still my boy. Give me 30 minutes, I said softly. Lily exhaled with relief that almost sounded like a suppressed sob. Thank you truly. The drive back. The ride to their house felt different this time. Last time, I had gone with hope and ended up in pain. This time, I went with fear. And a strange, motherly instinct that pushed me forward. Even when my heart felt heavy. When I reached the house, Lily opened the door quickly. Her eyes were swollen. Her face pale. Her hands restless. Thank you for coming, she whispered. I nodded and stepped inside. The house felt quiet. Too quiet. No TV. No movement. No footsteps. Just silence. Where is he? I asked. In the bedroom, she replied softly. She didn't try to walk with me. She didn't try to control or speak too much. For the first time, Lily looked humble. For the first time, she looked scared. I walked down the hallway, my steps slow, steady, cautious. When I reached Daniel's door, I knocked lightly. Daniel, it's Mom. No answer. I waited. Still nothing. I opened the door gently. The son who never looked broken, until now. The room was dim. Curtains closed. Blanket pulled halfway off the bed. Daniel sat on the floor, leaning against the side of the bed. His head resting on his knees. He looked smaller somehow, like life had pressed him down. I had never seen him like this. Ever. When he lifted his face, my heart cracked softly. His eyes were red. His cheeks hollow. He looked exhausted, drained, defeated. Mom, he whispered. That one word held everything. All the guilt. All the regret. All the pain he had kept inside his entire life. Slowly, I walked toward him and knelt down. For a moment, neither of us spoke. We just sat there. The mother who tried to stay strong, and the son who finally let himself break. Then his voice cracked. "I'm sorry, Mom." My throat tightened. He swallowed hard. "I messed everything up. I hurt you. I let people distance me from you. I didn't protect you. I didn't listen. And now, I don't even know who I am anymore." Tears filled his eyes again. I reached out and placed my hand on his shoulder. That small touch broke the final wall inside him. He leaned into me and cried. Not loudly, not dramatically, just the quiet, heavy kind of crying a grown man does when he finally admits he's not okay. I held him, not with judgment, not with anger, just love. The same love I had for him when he was 5, 10, 15, 25. A mother's love doesn't shrink. It stretches. It endures. "I'm here," I whispered. "No matter what happened, I'm here." A truth he had been hiding. When Daniel finally pulled back, he wiped his face clumsily. He couldn't look at me. There was more. Something he hadn't said yet. I waited. Eventually he spoke. "Mom, I've been under a lot of stress. More than I told you. Work is not going well. Money is tight. And Lily and I have been arguing for months." I blinked slowly. He wasn't finished. I felt like I was failing at everything. And when we argued, it was always about little things. But it wore me down. And when I saw you that day, all I wanted was peace. But instead, I dragged you into my mess. His voice dropped to a whisper. "I pushed you away because I didn't want you to see how weak I felt." I touched his cheek gently. "Daniel, you're human. Humans break. Human strugla. That doesn't make you weak. It makes you real." He closed his eyes as if those words were the first comfort he'd received in a long time. A conversation that changed everything. We sat on the floor for a long time, talking softly. About work, about life, about stress. About his fear of disappointing me. About how he felt torn between being a good husband and being a good son. At one point, Daniel whispered, "I was scared Lily would think I wasn't strong if I relied on you. And I was scared you would think I chose her over you." My heart ached. "Love isn't a competition," I said gently. "You don't have to choose. You just have to be honest." He nodded slowly. "I wasn't honest. Not with her. Not with you. Not with myself." Then came the words I had been waiting for. Not because I needed them, but because he needed to say them. "Mom, I don't want to lose you." A soft warmth spread through my chest. "You won't," I whispered. "Not as long as you choose respect. Not as long as you speak your truth. Not as long as you let me in." His eyes softened. "I will do better," he promised. Lily's apology. When Daniel finally stood up, I helped him to his feet. Lily stood quietly near the doorway, watching us with wide, emotional eyes. She stepped forward slowly. Daniel looked at her, really looked at her, for the first time in days. Then Lily turned to me. "Mom, I'm sorry. Truly, I shouldn't have disrespected you. I shouldn't have let my insecurity affect your relationship with Daniel. I was wrong." The apology was sincere, humble, not forced. For the first time, I believed she meant it. "I accept your apology," I said softly. "But we all need to do better. Family only works when everyone protects it." Lily nodded, tears streaming down her face. Daniel took her hand, and for a moment, we just stood there. 3 people who had broken each other, now quietly trying to mend what remained. The turning point truly begins. Over the next hour, something shifted in the house. Daniel opened the curtains. Lili preveteo. We all sat together in the living room, not pretending everything was perfect, but finally willing to face the truth. Pain had brought us here, but healing had begun. The turning point wasn't dramatic. It wasn't loud. It wasn't a big movie-like moment. It was simple. A son finally speaking. A mother finally heard. A daughter-in-law finally understanding. Sometimes change begins quietly. Sometimes it begins with a phone call at 8 a.m. Sometimes it begins with tears on a bedroom floor. But every turning point begins somewhere. And ours began here. The house felt different that morning. Not healed. Not perfect. But softer. The air wasn't heavy the way it had been for months. The silence wasn't cold anymore. It was calm. Like the house itself wanted to rest after everything. We sat together in the living room for a while. Not really talking. But not avoiding each other either. Daniel sat low on the sofa. Shoulders relaxed for the first time in days. Lily sat beside him. Quiet, thoughtful, hands folded in her lap. I sat across from them, watching both their faces with a strange sort of tenderness. It felt like I was looking at two people who had finally put down their armor. After a few minutes, Daniel broke the silence gently. "Mom, thank you for coming today. I know you didn't have to." I smiled a little. A mother will always come when her child needs her. He lowered his eyes, as if that simple sentence meant more to him than anything else. A gentle morning. Lily stood up slowly. "Mom, can I make you breakfast?" she asked softly. It surprised me, but in a good way. Her voice wasn't stiff, or defensive, or guarded. It was warm, respectful, almost hopeful. "If you want to," I replied. She nodded with a small, grateful smile. While Lily walked to the kitchen, Daniel turned toward me. He took a quiet breath, then said, "I want to explain something I never told you." I waited. He leaned his elbows on his knees, his voice low, honest. "I didn't mean for our relationship to drift. But life, it came at me fast. Marriage, work, expectations. I kept thinking I'd fix things later. But later never came." His voice cracked slightly. "And when Lily and I argued, I didn't want you to think badly of her. So I hid everything. But that only made things worse." I watched him with gentle eyes. "You were protecting both sides alone," I said. "That's too heavy for one person." He nodded, wiping his face quietly with the back of his hand. "Exactly." He looked up at me, his expression soft, almost childlike again. "I'm tired of holding everything in, Mom." "I know," I whispered. "And you don't have to anymore." In the kitchen. We both walked to the kitchen slowly. Lily was chopping vegetables with quiet focus, the movements gentle and careful. When she saw us, she looked up, eyes warmer than I had ever seen them. "Breakfast will be ready soon," she said. "I didn't know what you'd like, so I made a bit of everything." It was a small gesture, but it felt meaningful. Daniel walked up behind her and gave her shoulder a light squeeze. She froze for a second, then relaxed into his touch. Their marriage felt fragile, but not hopeless. Sometimes love just needs space to breathe again. Sometimes people forget how to hold each other until something breaks. And sometimes broken things teach the best lessons. A simple meal, a deep healing. We sat at the kitchen table together. The food was simple. Eggs, bread, tea, a little fruit. But the moment felt big. For a while no one talked. We just ate quietly and let the warmth return to the room. Halfway through breakfast, Lily spoke. Slowly, honestly. "Mom, I want to tell you something. Not for sympathy, but so you understand why I acted the way I did." I looked up gently. "I'm listening." She shifted in her chair, nervous. I never had a close relationship with my own mother. We barely talked, and when we did, it always felt like I was disappointing her. Her voice grew smaller. "So when I married Daniel, I didn't know how to have a mother-in-law. I didn't know how to share space, or how to stay calm." Her eyes glistened, and when I felt insecure, I acted defensive. I tried to control things instead of trusting them. My heart softened. She wasn't making excuses. She was opening a wound. That day, the day you came to visit. Her voice faltered. I was scared you would judge our home, or think I wasn't good enough. I reached across the table and touched her hand gently. I wasn't here to judge, I said softly. I was only here to love. Lily closed her eyes, one tear falling. I know, she whispered. And I'm sorry I realized it so late. Daniel took her other hand, holding it with care. I watched them together and felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Peace. A quiet walk in the garden. After breakfast, Daniel suggested we step outside. The small backyard was fresh with morning air. Birds hopped along the fence. The sunlight felt warm on my skin. We sat on the old wooden bench. Daniel beside me, Lily a few steps away, tending to the plants. Everything felt slow, unrushed, honest. Mom, Daniel said quietly, Lily and I want to invite you tomorrow, for dinner. A proper one. No tensión. No josetaschen. Lily turned around and nodded softly. We want to start again, she added. A clean beginning. I smiled. Not wide, not dramatic. A small warm smile. I would like that, I said. Daniel exhaled with relief. You mean a lot to us, he whispered. I'm sorry I let you feel otherwise. Then he leaned gently on my shoulder, the way he used to when he was little, and wanted reassurance. I didn't move. I didn't speak. I just let the moment sit in the sunshine. Sometimes healing doesn't come loudly. Sometimes it comes in a quiet garden, with soft morning light, and hands finally reaching out again, or leaving their home, but lighter. After a few more minutes, I stood up. I should go, I said gently. You two need rest. Lily nodded. Daniel walked me to the door. Before I stepped out, he touched my arm. Mom, thank you for not giving up on me. I placed my hand over his. I never will, I whispered. He pulled me into a soft hug. Not rushed, not forced, just warm and slow. A hug that said everything he couldn't say out loud. When I walked to my car, I looked back once. Daniel stood in the doorway, with Lily beside him. Her head gently leaned on his shoulder. For the first time in a long while, they looked like a team. And I felt lighter. Not because everything was fixed, but because we were finally walking toward healing, instead of away from it. A soft evening of reflection. When I reached home, the quiet didn't hurt anymore. I made tea, opened the window, let the evening wind settle inside the room. I thought about my own mother, about how she used to say, family fights are like rainy days. They come, they go, but the roots stay. I understood that more now. Before going to bed, my phone vibrated. It was Daniel. A simple message, but it meant everything. Love you, Mom. See you tomorrow. Dinner at 7. I stared at the message for a long time, feeling warmth bloom in my chest. We had reached a turning point, a soft, meaningful one. Tomorrow would be the beginning of something new. Kinda. More honest. More connected. I whispered into the quiet room. Thank you. Not to anyone specifically, just to life, for giving us another chance. The next evening arrived quietly. The sky held a soft golden color, the kind that makes everything look a little warmer than it really is. I dressed simply, nothing fancy, just a clean blouse and a shawl my mother once knitted for me. I stood in front of the mirror for a moment and took a slow breath. It felt like I wasn't just going to dinner. It felt like I was walking toward a new chapter, after a long, painful one. Not dramatic, not perfect, but hopeful. And hope, even the small kind, is a gentle thing that can change a home. The drive that felt different. The road to Daniel's house was the same as always. Same turns, same traffic lights, same quiet shops and old trees. But the feeling in my chest was different. No taignis. No fear of what might happen. No heaviness dragging behind me, just a soft, steady calm. Sometimes healing begins, not when everything becomes perfect, but when the heart stops expecting disaster. When I reached their street, I slowed the car and noticed something unexpected. The front porch light was on, and the door was slightly open, as if someone had been watching for me. When I stepped out, Daniel came outside immediately. "Mom," he said with a warm smile, the kind I had not seen in a long, long time. He walked toward me, not with guilt this time, but with genuine affection. He hugged me softly. "Welcome home," he whispered. Those two words sank into me deeply. Not welcome to the house, not welcome for dinner, but welcome home. A simple sentence, but one that healed something small inside me. A table prepared with care. Inside, the dining table was set beautifully. Condulit. Plates arranged. Food steaming gently. Everything looked thoughtful, as if each detail had been considered, with intention and kindness. Lily came out of the kitchen holding a bowl of soup. When she saw me, her face softened. "Mom," she said gently, "I'm glad you're here." She didn't sound forced. She didn't sound unsure. She sounded sincere, and that sincerity meant more than she knew. "Thank you for inviting me," I replied. "We wanted this," she said, not out of guilt, but out of love and respect. It was the first time she said those words. Without hesitation, Daniel pulled out my chair for me. A small gesture, but soft and meaningful. We sat down together. A mother, a son, and a daughter-in-law learning to heal. A quiet, honest meal. Dinner was peaceful. Not loud, not overly emotional. Just soft conversation, gentle smiles, and the sound of spoons touching plates. At one point, Daniel looked up at me and said, "Mom, Lily and I talked a lot last night. We're making changes. We're going to be more honest with each other, with you, with ourselves. We don't want secrets or silent emotions anymore." I nodded slowly. "That's good," I said. "Love needs honesty, especially the tough kind." Lily added quietly, "I want to build a real relationship with you. Not out of fear, not out of obligation, but because you're important to him, and you matter to me too." Her voice didn't shake this time. She looked into my eyes with truth. "I hope you can give me time," she said softly, "to grow and to learn." I reached across the table and touched her hand gently. "That's all any of us need," I said. "Time." Her eyes glistened, but this time the tears were warm, not painful. After dinner, a moment that stays. When we finished eating, Daniel suggested we step out to the backyard. The night air was cool, and the sky was clear enough to see a few soft stars. We sat on the same old wooden bench where we had talked that morning. Daniel sat in the middle. Lily sat on one side, and I sat on the other. For a moment, none of us spoke, but silence felt safe now, comfortable, like the space where new beginnings hide. Daniel leaned back, looking up at the sky. "You know, Mom," he said softly, "I've been thinking about something." "What is it?" I asked. He smiled gently. "You always carried this family on your shoulders. You did it quietly, and I didn't understand how much until now." His words hit my heart with a warm ache. "I want to do better," he continued. "For you, for Lily, for myself." I placed my hand over his. "You already started," I whispered. "That's enough." He nodded, eyes soft. Lily rested her head gently on his shoulder. For the first time, they looked balanced, equal, together. And for the first time, I felt truly included. Not as an outsider, not as someone tolerated, but as someone who belonged. Erba walked through memories. Before leaving, I asked Daniel if he could help me with something. "I have a box in the car," I told him. "I want you to see it." He walked with me to the driveway. When I opened the trunk, he saw the old wooden box, the same one he helped decorate when he was 12. He froze for a moment. "Mom, this is our memory box." "Yes," I said softly. "I found it last week. I kept it close because I wasn't sure we'd ever sit and look at it together again." His eyes glistened. "Can we open it?" he asked, almost whispering. "Of course." We sat right there on the small step by the door, the porch light glowing above us. Inside the box were letters, old photos, little souvenirs from school trips, birthday drawings, keychains from places we once visited. Daniel picked up one tiny object, a small seashell he gave me when he was 9. "Do you remember this?" he asked. "Yes," I said. "You found it at the beach and told me it was for good luck." He smiled softly. "That was the first time I told you I loved you. Do you remember?" I nodded, feeling tears fill my eyes. "I remember every time you told me," I whispered. He closed the box slowly. "Let's make new memories now," he said. "Ones we won't put in a box. Ones we will live." My heart warmed. "I would like that," I said. Herb leaving with peace. When I finally stood to leave, Lily came forward and hugged me. Not awkwardly, not out of obligation, but with warmth. "Thank you for giving me another chance," she whispered. "We all deserve one," I replied gently. Daniel walked me to my car. Before I entered, he held my hand. "Mom," he said softly, "I love you, and I promise I won't let us drift like that again." I touched his face gently. "I know," I whispered. He kissed my forehead, the way he used to when he was younger. A soft, simple gesture of love. I drove home slowly, the night air cool, and the road quiet. But my heart felt full, warm, steady, like something heavy had finally been lifted. Herb, a final reflection. What love really means. When I reached home, I changed into my night clothes, made a cup of warm tea, and sat by the window. The moonlight spread softly across my little living room. I thought about everything. The hurt, the silence, the tears, the misunderstandings, the healing. Life had taught me something that day. Love survives not because it is strong, but because it is patient. Families break sometimes, not because people stop loving, but because fear, pride, or insecurity grows louder than the heart. But love, real love, does not walk away easily. It may bend, it may hurt, it may hide, but it waits. And when people reach for each other again, even quietly, even slowly, love returns with open hands. As I finished my tea, I whispered to myself, "We're going to be okay. Not perfect, not flawless, but okay." And sometimes, okay is the beginning of the most beautiful chapter.